Hey there, welcome to DIY Projects with Pete. Today, we're going to build a cutting board. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. For tools, you're going to want to pick up or borrow some clamps, a tape measure, wood glue, a pencil, orbital sander, and safetying equipment. You're going to want a planer, a table saw, and lastly, a miter saw.
The first step is to cut your boards down to size and to square up rough edges. Use a table saw to give yourself a clean and even edge to start from. A joiner is handy if you have one, but we did it all with a table saw. Next, measure and cut each of the boards down to length on a miter saw. I wanted the final dimensions to be about 16 inches by 12 inches, so I cut the boards just a little longer than 16 inches, about 16 and a half inches I'd say, and then we'll make a straight cut to 16 inches later in the project. Prepare your table saw to cut the strips out of each board. I cut a total of 5 strips from each board that were 3/4 of an inch in width. You have an option to make an end grade butcher block or a top grain style cutting board. We went with the top grain method. There are advantages and disadvantages to each style, so decide which is the best fit for you.
Once you've finished making your cuts, then you can start to assemble your cutting board. You'll take each strip and organize them in the pattern that you'd like. Once that's done, we'll laminate them together with some wood glue.
Here I'm alternating the types of wood, starting with cherry, then to maple, and finally walnut. Since I'm building a top grain style board, I'll be gluing on the end grain sides. Rotate the boards and apply wood glue to each side of the strip. Then use your finger or a brush to even out the glue on each strip. Don't worry about it making a mess. You'll be able to wipe away excess glue or chisel it later. Rotate them to gluing position and move the strips into place. Once the strips are in place, use clamps and apply steady pressure to the boards. Make sure the strips are even with each other and are not lifting or buckling. Once in place, you'll want to lift the strips off the work surface so they don't get stuck to it. And it's a good idea to protect the work surface with something like newspaper. But I didn't, so I used a rag with warm water to clean up the work surface. I did use a slightly damp rag to remove excess glue from the strips as well. I kept the boards clamped and allowed the glue to dry for about an hour or so before moving on to the next step. You may need to wait longer depending on the dry time recommended on the label. Once ready, simply remove the clamps. You can use a chisel if needed to remove any excess glue. Then run the cutting board through the planer. I set the planer to about 3/4 of an inch and planed off roughly 1/8 of an inch from each side. The planer will even out the strips and give you a perfectly flat finish. Then use your miter saw or a table saw to even out the two ends of your cutting board. Run an orbital sander with 220 grit sandpaper over the surfaces of the cutting board. Slightly round over the edges as well.
All right, and lastly, we get to finish our new cutting boards. We're going to use food grade mineral oil for this process.
Add rubber pads to the bottom if you'd like to help prevent it from moving around on the counter.
Thanks so much for tuning in to DIY Projects with Pete. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and that it inspires you to build your own cutting board. For the complete tutorial, head over to DIYPete.com/cutting board. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe if you enjoyed watching this video and found it helpful. Thanks again, best of luck with your projects, and cheers from Montana.
I invite you to check out some of the other videos on the channel. Click on the left thumbnail to see how to build a patio ice cooler, and on the right to see how to build a cornhole board game set. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Cheers, guys.